This is a new day. This is a new day full of sound and light and expectation. This day has been waiting for you. This day has been waiting especially for you, to embrace you, to guide you. This day has been waiting with open arms, just for you. This is the day we have been given. Let's not waste it. Come now and let us worship together. It's a great pleasure to see you all of you who are joining us live via Facebook and Zoom, all of you who are here in person, all of you who made the trek from your homes in the not-so-cold December. Real pleasure to be here. I'm Reverend Joseph Boyd, and I welcome you all here in the Mahoning Valley, Trumbull County area, all of you across the world who have found us through friends and through Facebook searching, and I don't know how people in Egypt find us, but they find us, and it's wonderful. So I have some updates for you. I hope all of you are aware that we were in the middle of our pledge drive that just ended the last Sunday in November. And I have the latest numbers for you. So, our current pledges for 2022 that are confirmed are $100,274. We are checking in with folks now to confirm another $21,869. That will leave us with a total of $122,143. $122,143. In order to run this church effectively with the staff we have a budget of $150,000. So, as of right now, December 5th, 2022, we are short of our goal to run this church at the level we have. And that shortfall is $27,857. $27,857. So, I put that all out to you, so you all are aware. We will definitely need to have some kind of income, whether that be a fundraiser, whether that be through an angel, or a money tree, or a donor. But we're going to have to make some choices, and we will be transparent with you every step of the way. And if you would like to have a say in that with your own pledge, please talk with me, talk with our stewardship team, talk with the office, and we will be transparent with you every step of the way as we make these decisions. I know many of you are very happy that we were able to come back in person for those who are vaccinated and for those who are masked, and I'm very grateful for that too. To share the word that we are now open for in-person services as well as hybrid virtual services, we put out an announcement via WYSU on the radio here in Youngstown to share with the community that we are open and we are open to anyone who is over the age of 12 who is vaccinated, and anyone of all ages who is masked. And we welcome you into the sanctuary. And the day sponsorship for that costs $200, really not all that much. And so if you'd like to spread the message to the neighborhood and to this community that we are open for in-person services, come see the office for that donation. After service, we have a very fortunate situation. So we are very fortunate. We actually own this building and we own this property. And we have a lot that we can do with this property. And we have just learned that down on Illinois, we have numerous properties that are owned by friends of ours and also owned by the land bank. So today at 12:30, you can join Gary Davenport for a tour of those properties, which the church could utilize in creative ways. We don't know what we'll do with them, but we could do anything. Almost anything. Almost anything. So if you'd like to be part of that process, it's very exciting to have that opportunity. I've never had that opportunity in any city I've ever lived. If you want to have a say of what we could do to benefit nature, to benefit the environment, to benefit our community here on the north side of Youngstown, join Gary Davenport at 12:30 for that. And I welcome all of you to join me in crafting worship in January. The theme for January is living with intention. Living with intention. In these times, personally, I find, without living with intention, I don't know where I would be. I don't know where I would be. And I invite anyone who would like to join me in crafting worship for January. We do need worship associates, and we do need people who can help me lead worship. And so you're welcome to join me on Zoom, on the Zoom channel. It's this coming Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Zoom. And now we'll go to our chalice lighting. Linda Scharf.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to take just a few minutes before we light the chalice and tell you the story of the Buddha. We are celebrating Buddha Day today. So let's just get here in our bodies right now. Take a look around the space that you're in and realize today is today. Today is not yesterday. And today is not tomorrow. Today is today. So with this relaxed body and letting go of any past or present things that are stirring around in your head, let's just take this time together and I will tell you the story of the Buddha. A long, long time ago, around 560 BC, in a small kingdom in the area now known as Nepal, India, the Buddha was born into a royal family to the king and queen of the Shakya clan. They named their son Siddhartha, which means wish fulfilled. The sages at the time told the king and queen that their son would be a great leader as a king or as a holy man, and their son would change the world. The king wanted his son to take the throne, and with the suggestions of the sages, he kept Siddhartha within the palace walls. Siddhartha was taught all aspects to become a great leader and a strong warrior, as well as the teachings of the Brahmins, the spiritual teachers of that time. He was showered with all sorts of gifts befitting the prince. In his late 20s, he married and had a son. The story goes that one day he asked his charioteer to take him beyond the palace walls into the city where he first saw the suffering of old age, sickness, and death. He was overwhelmed to see all this misery. He saw a holy man with a bowl sitting with a peaceful and serene face and wondered, how could this be? He returned to the palace and he vowed to understand the meaning of life, death, and suffering in the world. At the age of 29, he told his father he was leaving to become a holy man. His father was not happy, but he gave his blessings, and Siddhartha left to go into the forest, take on the robes of a holy man, cut his hair, and took up the begging bowl. In his journey, he found different spiritual teachers and spent periods of time hearing their teachings, but he still could not find the answers to the truth of suffering. So Siddhartha went out on his own and came upon a group of 5 men who were practicing a very rigid practice of asceticism, which means they were depriving themselves of any form of worldly comfort. They sat in meditation in tattered rags, starving their bodies and eating and drinking very little and not bathing. This almost killed Siddhartha. Years he tried to overcome worldly desires, which was what they thought was the root of suffering. One day, Siddhartha, after suffering a brutal night of bad weather, had collapsed from exhaustion, and he saw a maiden bringing milk and honey as an offering to the spirits of the forest. She saw his condition, and she offered him the food, and he took it. His spiritual companions saw this and said, "You have broken your vow," and they disowned him. This is when Siddhartha realized what is called in Buddhism the middle way, not going to extremes, in either direction. But to find a place of balance and middle path. As a small child, Siddhartha always found comfort and peace by sitting under the protection of various trees. So after he awakened to the middle way, he went to search for the beautiful Bodhi tree, which was believed to be a very sacred tree. There he sat down and vowed he would not leave until he found the truth of suffering. The story goes, the night before Siddhartha became the Buddha, he was visited by Mara, who is a representation of the evil forces that disturbs our minds. Mara is our greed, hatred, ignorance, jealousy, doubt, and all the poisons that bring unhappiness and grief. Mara summons his sons and daughters and said, "Look, Siddhartha is sitting in meditation. If he succeeds and discovers the ways to end all suffering, what will happen to us? Don't you understand? We could lose our power. We can't harm people if he teaches them the truth. We must disturb his meditation, or else we will be doomed." So they created a fierce storm and threw lightning bolts at Siddhartha. But beneath the branches of the tree, everything remained calm, protected by the forest of Siddhartha's meditation. He seemed undisturbed, Mara said. "Let us shoot poisonous arrows of hate at him." As the arrows were about to hit Siddhartha, they turned into flower petals and gently showered him. Next, Mara tried to distract him with visions of beauty. Mara told his daughters to turn themselves into beautiful, alluring women, dancing in front of him and disturb his meditation. So they did. Mara said, even my daughters cannot disturb his concentration. Mara was defeated and miserable, but there is one last way. Mara began to confront Siddhartha with doubts. So you are a great prince, Siddhartha. You know that many holy people have failed at finding the truth, but you think you will succeed. How foolish you are. You have wasted your life, and now you think wisdom will just come to you. How foolish. Siddhartha, go back to your palace. Listen to me. Get rid of this meditation, or at least show me one witness that will swear you're worthy of succeeding, where all others have failed. These words did not deter Siddhartha. Silently, he lifted his right hand from his lap, and he reached in front of him and touched the earth. The gesture meant the earth itself is Siddhartha's witness. For countless lifetimes, Siddhartha had appeared on the earth in various forms and practiced generosity, patience, loving kindness, and meditated on the truth. Now Mara knew he had been defeated, and he left. Siddhartha, now a Buddha, the enlightened one, set out to teach others what he had found. Returned first to his old friends who saw the truth in his teachings and became followers. At the end of the Buddha's life, at the age 80, even then, he taught his followers how to die gracefully. So I now light this chalice in honor of the Buddha's wisdom and the gifts that he has brought us.
The stories of the Taoist teacher Chang Tzu have long been revered for their whimsical simplicity and childlike sense of wonder. Admired by poets, artists, and philosophers, his stories ask us to see the world from a new and unique perspective. The Butterfly's Dream by Ippo Cato. A long time ago in China, there lived a man named Chang Tzu. One sunny spring day, with the soft fragrance of peach blossoms filling the air, Chang Tzu fell asleep beneath a green willow tree and dreamed that he was a butterfly. The butterfly flitted about, and then, carried by the gentle breeze, he fluttered away. He flew to the great northern sea, where there lived a huge fish called a kun. The butterfly was floating above the water when, at the stroke of midnight, the ocean began to swell. Suddenly, the kun leaped out of the sea and transformed into a giant bird called a pain. The pain flapped his enormous wings, churning up the ocean for miles and miles, and rose up into the night sky. Flying toward the southern sea, the pain's wings spanned the entire sky. Rising higher and higher, The Pang saw the sky and the ocean stretching away forever, blue layered on top of blue. The Pang said to the butterfly, "When I was in the ocean, I thought it was big, but now I see that the sky is even greater in size." The butterfly continued to fly on and soon discovered a small frog living in a well somewhere between northern and southern seas. Looking up from the well, the only thing the frog could see was a tiny circle of open sky. When he saw the butterfly fluttering above him, he said, "Come on in and visit. Isn't this the biggest place you've ever seen?" The butterfly responded, "You have no idea of the difference between big and small. The great northern sea is 1,000,000 times bigger than this tiny well. Once it rained there for 7 years and the ocean didn't overflow." The frog, who had lived in the well his whole life, could not believe what he had heard. The butterfly decided to leave and said to himself, "One who lives in a small world cannot even imagine the great big world outside his home." A few miles away, a man named Chi was training the fighting rooster for the king. The butterfly asked him if the rooster was ready to fight. "Not yet," replied Chi. "He is too arrogant and proud of his own strength." The butterfly came back 10 days later and asked again. Chi replied, "He is still not ready. He gets excited when he sees another rooster and is too anxious to fight." After 10 more days, the butterfly returned and asked, "How is your rooster doing?" "Better," said Chi. "He's a little calmer, but he still looks angry when he hears another rooster." Finally, after another 10 days had passed, Chi told the butterfly, "He is perfect. When another rooster crows, he remains completely still, as if he were made of wood. The other roosters will take one look at him and run away." The butterfly said, "One who is quietly confident and calm has real power and strength, not one who is easily excited." The butterfly, tired from all his traveling, settled down under the branches of a giant tree to sleep in its shade. No sooner had the butterfly fallen asleep than he began to dream that he was a man named Chang Tzu. Chang Tzu visited his friend Hutsu, who had some giant gourds. Hutsu told Chang Tzu, "The king of Wei sent me some seeds for gourds, but they grew so big that I can't use them for anything. They're too heavy to be water pitchers and too shallow to be dippers. They're useless." Chang Tzu said, "You say these gourds are useless because they are too big. Instead of putting water in them, you can put them in the water. Why don't you make boats out of them and float down the river?" So Chang Tzu, using a gourd as a boat, went drifting down the river past hills and pastures, past the big tree, past the man with the rooster, and past the little well where the frog lived. Chang Tzu just kept floating along the river, as free as the giant ping that was flying overhead. Under the huge tree, the butterfly awoke. "What a strange dream," he thought. "I don't know if I am a butterfly dreaming that I was Chang Tzu, or if I am Chang Tzu dreaming I am a butterfly." At that moment, Chang Tzu awoke from under the green willow and asked himself, "Am I Chang Tzu, dreaming that I was a butterfly? Or am I a butterfly who's dreaming that I am a man named Chang Tzu?"
Service. It's one of my favorite things to repeat with all of you. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We are a very generous congregation in many ways, And one of the ways we express that generosity is by giving away our plate every single week to an organization that aligns with our values. So all money that is not designated specifically to go to the church, you can put in this basket at the end of service, and you can use this time when we play music to reflect on your offering, not just to this congregation, but to our wider community. So the organization we are going to be giving all undesignated money this month to is called DRUM. And DRUM is it's an acronym that stands for Unitarian Universalist People of Color Ministry. It's an anti-racist collective bringing lay and religious professionals together to overcome racism through resistance and transform Unitarian Universalism through our multicultural experiences. DRUM has a growing membership of UU people of color from every district and region. As an all-volunteer ministry, DRUM continues to lead efforts to fulfill the journey toward wholeness resolution, towards becoming an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, multicultural UUA, creating space for youth, young adult, and families of color to heal and work collectively, and steward an effective organization that develops new leadership and manages consistent communication with members. Your generous contributions this Sunday and this month will help DRUM and UUYO meet our shared mission to dismantle white supremacy and racism in ourselves and our systems. In order to accomplish this, it is critical to center and support efforts like DRUM that are led by people of color. We will now receive the offering that supports the life of Youngstown, the Mahoning Valley, and our wider world.
Hello again.
This is the first time I've actually celebrated.
This
I've
is
been
the time.
practicing with a Buddhist teacher for years, and this is the first time I've actually celebrated this important worldwide celebration, and I'm so glad that we can do this all together. This is a reading from Pema Chodron, who I think some of you are familiar with, a really well-known Tibetan Buddhist teacher, and she wrote this piece called "Everybody Loves Something." The Buddhist term bodhicitta means completely open heart and mind. Chitta is translated as heart or mind, and bodhi means awake. The cultivation of the noble heart and mind of bodhicitta is a personal journey. The very life we have is our working basis. The very life we have is our journey to enlightenment. Enlightenment is not something we're going to achieve after we follow the instructions and then get it right. In fact, when it comes to awakening the heart and mind, you can't get it right. On this journey toward moving toward that which is not certain, that which cannot be tied down, that which is not habitual or fixed. We're moving toward a whole new way of thinking and feeling, a flexible and open way of perceiving reality that is not based on certainty and security. This new way of perceiving is based on connecting with the living, energetic quality of ourselves and everything else. Bodhicitta is our means of tapping into this awakened energy. And we can start by tapping into our emotions. We can start by connecting very directly with what we already have. And I love this little story, just a short paragraph. On Cape Breton Island, where I live in Nova Scotia, this is her talking about herself, the lakes get so hard in the winter that people can drive trucks and cars on them. Alexander Graham Bell flew one of the early airplanes off that ice. It's that solid. Our habits and patterns can feel just as frozen as that ice. But when spring comes, the ice melts. The quality of water has never really disappeared, even in the deepest depth of winter. It has just changed form. The ice melts, and the essential, fluid, living quality of water is there.
Now we'll do a short meditation. I'd like you just to relax your body as best you can in whatever position you're in, but stay alert and awake, and just let your mind relax. Just give it a break. Just be still and quiet for a while. We're going to talk a little bit about Buddha Day and what it means to the Buddhists and people that are around the world that celebrate it. Oftentimes, um, well, here in the United States, we celebrate it on December 8th, but there's so many calendars, the lunar calendars and the Hebrew and Chinese calendars. Buddha Day is almost continually celebrated throughout the year. Like most celebrations, the Buddhist communities, there is meditation sessions, chanting, praying, ceremonies, music, dancing, food from local communities. What makes Buddha Day unique? It covers the birth, the enlightenment, and the death of the Buddha. It's a time of giving to a wider community in many different ways: donations, helping those in need, teachings, and working together in peace and harmony. But most important is giving thanks for the gift that the Buddha has given the world. 2,600 years ago, he gave his teachings, and they are still relevant today. As the story of his life tells us, that he was a human being just like you and me, who dedicated his life to finding the truth of suffering. His teachings tell us how precious our human birth is. No creatures on earth evolve enough to attain enlightenment, and enlightenment is possible in all humans, not just the Buddha. We all have an untapped potential to elevate our consciousness to a higher level of awareness. As one of the best-known Zen masters of our time, Thich Nhat Hanh, explains, we are born into the world with 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. That is the way of this world. However, we also possess an innate capacity to cultivate the seeds of happiness, compassion, equanimity, gratitude, and loving kindness. These are some of the qualities of our true nature and what the Buddhists call our Buddha nature. They are within us all the time. We can also leave dormant the seeds of hatred, greed, jealousy, and harmful behavior. So you may ask, how does one access and nurture these innate qualities? This is where the teachings of the Buddha come into play. Through the Buddhist search for the cause of suffering, he became aware of the kind of mind that we access every day. This mind has been manipulated by unhealthy cultural norms, by family dysfunction, by voices that speak destructive rhetoric, and the lack of moral codes and responsibility. Even if we try to stay away from some of these things, the patterns and habitual habits that we have unconsciously and consciously adopted take up so much mind space that it causes us to suffer. I'm sure some of you can relate to some of these mind states. The judgmental thinking, I am not good enough, I am not smart enough. Look over there, look at what that person's wearing. Always judging. The obsessive thinking, rerunning the same thought over and over and over again. Compulsive reflective thinking, blurting things out without any thought of the impact to others. Speedy, distracted thinking, lost in a cycle of disconnected thoughts. Compulsive reflective thinking, constantly thinking of the past. All of these mind states cause us to suffer in many ways. Again, we may ask, how can we address this kind of suffering? The Buddha, after a lifetime of experience with these questions, points to becoming aware of the present moment. This is where reality and truth resides. If you've ever visited or lived in the city of Pittsburgh, where the three rivers surround it, and you ask for directions, most locals will say, "Oh, you can't get there from here." Well, that's the case when we try to think with a scattered mind. That we're changing our thought patterns by relaxing into a higher consciousness comes into play. This can be accomplished by relaxing and getting in touch with our bodies. Our bodies carry all the experiences that we have in our life. We also begin to quiet our minds by touching in with an anchor like our breath. This is the start of practicing meditation. They call it a practice because just like anything that you've ever had to learn and learn well takes practice. Playing an instrument, being an accomplished athlete, skills like carpentry or medicine, the list goes on and on. This is only scratching the surface of the benefits that can be gleaned from exploring the Buddha's gift to the world and to move forward towards a better quality of life. I am sure that many of you have experienced a taste of enlightened moments already, when time seems to stand still and you're totally present in your heart, like unexpectedly seeing a deer in the woods, or walking alone on a beach in the early morning and hearing the sounds of the birds, getting to hold your grandchild for the first time, watching children express spontaneous joy. My spiritual teacher, Chokram Trungpa explains the Buddhist gift of enlightenment with this metaphor. Like a recipe for healthy, sustaining bread filled with nourishing ingredients that can be gathered and mixed into a dough, then shaped by loving hands and baked until it rises, ready to serve one and all. And then the recipe can be passed down to future generations and always enjoy the taste of fresh bread. Like the bread recipe, the Buddha has given us the recipe for the beginning of an enlightened life, to be passed down to all that seek it.
The Christmas tree lighting this year in downtown Youngstown was so beautiful. Was there anyone here who actually... Along Phelps Street, they were roasting chestnuts over an open fire, and they were giving them out for free. I had never seen such a large group of people in a genuinely good mood. The feeling that I had walking down the street was joy, pure joy, sincere joy, no filter, just joy. People of all ages, children, older people, teenagers, couples. Every single face I saw was smiling. And everyone had that kind of smile which I've come to recognize as unique. It was not just a smile of anticipation, which is the most common. I'm looking forward to, that's a good smile. But this was a little different. It was a smile of satisfaction. Satisfaction. I have no idea how each person was feeling, and I'm sure each person has their own burdens they were carrying that day. but the feeling that I received from them, whether they're aware of it or not, was satisfaction. It felt good to be alive. It felt good to be alive for another season. It felt good to hear familiar songs and stand outside in the cold in our overcoats and our gloves, waiting for a light to appear. It's something so ancient, so human, so satisfying to wait in anticipation for a light to appear. In Buddhism, that is called enlightenment. Enlightenment. It is a light that is within us, a light that is outside us, a light that shows us the illusion, the false sense we have that this light is different and separate from this light. Just one light. One light. I'm going to say something I thought was a little controversial, but Linda, you can push back if you want later. I don't think enlightenment was the greatest achievement of Siddhartha, the historical Buddha. I think all of us, on some level, whether we're a Buddhist practitioner or not, have experienced some level of enlightenment. Each of us have the experience of paying attention, of being still enough to be lit up by a moment. The birth of a child, a star in the sky, and often the more mundane moments that return us back to our true self, the self that we've always been. In the Chan tradition and in the Zen tradition in Japan, often it's an ordinary event that brings a person to enlightenment. A piece of gravel hitting bamboo, sweeping the dining room floor, the wind blowing through the trees. Enlightenment is not a rare thing. It's everywhere. If we can allow ourselves to be there for it. This was the great discovery of the Buddha, but in my opinion, it was not the greatest discovery. The greatest part is not a moment of enlightenment. It's not just a moment of fully immersing ourselves in the world and feeling that the two are not separate, the world and myself. This is true for every moment of our life. It's not rare, although it's not terribly common to notice it or be there for it. It's not hard, I think, to have a moment of enlightenment, just a moment. The greatest part of the story, in my opinion, is after Siddhartha saw the morning star, after he saw a light and was enlightened. According to the Indian tradition, gods that are found in Hinduism came and told Siddhartha that he had to share the practice of enlightenment with the world. He had to build a life based on enlightenment. Siddhartha was doubtful he could do this, very fearful. He did not then, I think, quite trust the pervasiveness of enlightenment. I wonder if he thought it was rare, and there was no way he could possibly teach this, no way that he could encourage people to build an entire lifestyle based on enlightenment, based on awakening. Siddhartha refused the request 2 times from the gods. Oh, no. I can't possibly do that. Just leave me alone. Let me sit here under this tree and enjoy peace. Just let me enjoy what I have discovered for myself. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. But the gods were relentless. They loved humanity so much, according to this story, that they would not quit asking. After the third request, Siddhartha finally relented, and in exasperation basically said, I have no idea how to teach this. I have no idea how to share this with other people. But you won't leave me alone. So I have to teach this. I'll try. For me, that is the greatest turning point in the Buddhist life. The greatest human satisfaction, in my opinion, is not a moment of enlightenment. The rare and precious thing is to build an entire life around that awareness. To build and live an entire life of enlightenment. To live a life of practicing wonder, open mind, open heart. To live each moment like that. To live each day with that intention, that is a rare, and precious thing. To be there for that. That's it. To know, to verify that we are already living a life of enlightenment. That is so precious, truly priceless. Most people will never choose to live a life based on enlightenment consciously, by choice. But I'm telling you, each and every one of us is living a life of enlightenment every moment. We are living it every day, this moment. There was a morning star this morning. Did you see it? It doesn't matter if you didn't see it. It was there. And that star is there now. Even if because of conditions, clouds, sunlight, city lights, we didn't notice it. We couldn't apprehend it. But I'm telling you, scientists will back me up, there was a morning star this morning. A scientist could show you a telescope and bring you to a place with just the right conditions: low light pollution, clear sky, and you could verify for yourself with your own senses, oh yes, there is a morning star. It's really there. The Buddha, to use this analogy, was like a scientist who showed humanity, like a telescope, a tool known as meditation, and shared it with anyone. Oh, sorry about that. He shared it with anyone who wanted to verify enlightenment for themselves. With the right conditions, you can verify this. I can verify it. And you can verify it. And after that verification, our lives have the capacity to change. We learn that just because we can't comprehend or sense something in the moment doesn't mean that it's not there. After catching just a glimpse of the morning star, we can trust a star will always be there, even if we can't see it. There are billions of them, actually. stars that are coming into existence every second in this moment. We don't see it, but we can trust it. We trust that it's happening. For me, this year, Bodhi Day is about being reminded that we can trust this moment. We can trust this moment of enlightenment. We can choose to live into that trust. We can choose to live a life oriented toward compassion rather than fear, toward a feeling of interconnection rather than isolation, toward gentleness rather than brutality. Enlightenment orients us toward all of this, and we can build a life on it. So thank you, Siddhartha. Thank you, all the gods who fought Siddhartha tooth and nail on our behalf to make sure that we could get a taste of it. Thank you, Buddhist practitioners for centuries, female practitioners in Japan, China, masters who taught and created the right conditions for each culture to verify this simple fact for themselves. It is a priceless gift. And we are all the beneficiaries, whether we're Buddhist or not. Your very life, right now at this moment, is a gift. It is the morning star. It is enlightenment. Don't take my word for it. Go verify it. Please pray with me. Spirit of love, so grateful to be alive on this day. Grateful to be alive this precious time in human history. This precious time in the history of the earth, of this land. Please help us to open our minds and open our hearts and relax a little bit into the trust of this moment. Help us to appreciate that, which we are. Amen. For those who are in person and love coffee, I received a nice note from Ellen Satry, very discreet, thank you. We were selling equal exchange after service if you'd like to get some coffee. As you depart, please remember the one great fact. You are loved and never truly alone.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of commitment, or the fire of community. These we keep in our hearts until we meet again. Happy Buddha Day.